Good day to my 6 viewers. I'm sure you probably don't remember why you subscribed to me since I've privated most of my videos, but oh well, I'll take for free engagement if it means this message gets out further. I wanted to add my voice to a choir of growing concerns surrounding the UK Online Safety Act, which recently went into effect, and further go into detail about how real these concerns are. For those of you who don't know, the Online Safety Act essentially requires websites to directly verify a user's age before showing them any sort of not safe for work content through either age verification or estimation technology. Many websites, as a result, have defaulted to contracting third parties to achieve this. I believe plenty of people have already spoken about how this places an undue burden on low-budget websites such as 4chan and, more regrettably, Wikipedia. However, I wanted to go into further detail about the privacy concerns that many people, including myself, have regarding sending identification to private companies. First of all, I want to give appropriate pretext by sharing two examples of privacy leaks from such companies. One is less related to age verification and more so cautionary tale or worst case scenario of webs of business-to-business services, and the other a very real example of a company outright violating people's privacy due to gross negligence. Let's start with the gross negligence example. T. Now this was a big story recently, so I will sum it up rather quickly. T was a phone app that aimed to provide an environment exclusively to women to talk about their dates. Ethical concerns about how it allowed misinformation to be spread about dating men without fact-checking aside, the problem I'm talking about here is how the developer of the app required photo or ID verification to allow only women onto the app, and then left the backend database of the app completely insecure without any sort of password or encryption, meaning 4chan users were able to very easily gain access to these details, photos of real people's IDs and selfies, and leak them onto their forums. Not only a complete failure to protect user data, but also an example of a developer lying about deleting data after a certain period of time, as much of the leaked data was clearly kept for longer than 24 hours. This is a very obvious example of a company trying to handle verification themselves and failing terribly to do so. But most larger companies utilize third-party services. What of those? The next example is regarding a website called AI Dungeon. Some might remember the craze around this website about 4 to 5 years ago. And it was around this time, in May of 2021, that AI Dungeon suffered a privacy leak where stories players generated were posted to 4chan. Looking into this incident, AI Dungeon concluded that the leak was from a third-party moderation company called TaskUp, which AI Dungeon did not actually employ. AI Dungeon forwarded this concern to their primary AI vendor, OpenAI, who then did their own investigation and found that their own data labeling vendor had contracted TaskUp. And what ended up happening was that a singular contractor within TaskUp posted some stories from content OpenAI generated for AI Dungeon to 4chan, all while AI Dungeon even knowing that content generated for them was being shared with TaskUp. To their credit, AI Dungeon has a very transparent message detailing this incident in their FAQ, and has since moved away from solely relying on OpenAI. However, I believe this incident ever even happening should help explain why people may be distrustful of sending data to companies. While you may trust these big corporations like Discord, Reddit, and Google to be able to moderate themselves, can you truly trust the contractors and vendors they rely on to do the same? Especially if the web of them isn't transparent, sometimes to even themselves. In this case, TaskUp was not entirely trustworthy, and despite never even having been contracted by AI Dungeon, was able to leak private content generated by AI Dungeon's users. But this was 4 years ago. It would paint a better picture to look at the current age verification providers. Specifically here, I will look at Persona, the system of choice for OpenAI, Reddit, LinkedIn, and Etsy. Now, I first heard of Persona when testing what Reddit used for their current age verification services. And the first thing I noticed is how when they send you to Persona, not only does the link include references that you came from Reddit, but also what specific subreddit you were trying to access. Just an example here, I'll try to access an obviously not safe for work subreddit, or such porn. And as you can see, it asks me to verify my age and sends me to an inquiry webpage from Persona. Now, first thing I actually notice about this link is how it not only tells Persona that you came from Reddit, but also what specific subreddit you were trying to access, the naughty thing that they want to block, or verify your age for, rather. Now, on its own, maybe that's not the worst thing. However, if you actually go to Persona's page, main page, you'll see that part of their business-to-business services actually relate to collecting data. And not only that, one of our main sort of selling points to other businesses is that not only do they go against a black box method, they guarantee that you will be able to view certain things and evaluate risks on people yourself, but also they especially try and build up profiles on people, apparently to detect fraudster rings. However, overall this just makes me question how they process personal data, especially with fingerprinting and trying to see who's accessing what. Going back to the inquiry page, you can see that Persona, unlike most companies, does not guarantee that they will delete your information within 24 hours. However, they do at least guarantee that Reddit won't receive your information. They will just know whether or not you're verified. Still, looking into their privacy policy, we can see that in terms of deleting information, they make no guarantee about it being deleted at all. In fact, in their data retention section, they say that they will retain it as long as they think necessary. And it seems the most surefire way to get them to delete your data is to send them a form or email. Further looking into their documentation, specifically the inquiry model lifecycle, you see that even simply starting a request seems to put you on a sort of permanent record. As well, inquiries may be paused within 24 hours, or shorter if the company, in this case Reddit, decides so. Then they can be resumed at any time. Seemingly, this may include the data that gets sent alongside your request, such as where you came from, what you were trying to access. Overall, this just makes me incredibly more suspicious of any sort of fingerprinting or profiling that the service may do. All this to say that the concerns regarding how third-party services handle your data are not made up, and still a present issue today. Still, that's just my own thoughts and experience. I would encourage anyone seeing this to also do their own research, form their own opinions, and above all, dare to know.